Senator Chris Van Hollen's recent trip to El Salvador to meet Kilmar Abrego Garcia, deported by the Trump administration amid alleged ties to MS-13, has stirred significant controversy. In an April 20 interview on State of the Union, Van Hollen admitted he did not ask Abrego Garcia directly about his alleged gang affiliation, stating, "I didn't ask him that because I know what his answer is."
Now, President Trump says that some of Abrego Garcia's tattoos signify that he's a member of MS-13. In 2019, police alleged a confidential informant claimed that Abrego Garcia was an active MS-13 member. His wife and his attorney deny that, of course. Can you say with absolute certainty that he is not, nor has he ever been a member of the MS-13 gang? And did you ask him point blank?
Well, Dana, what Donald Trump is trying to do here is change the subject. The subject at hand is that he and his administration are defying a court order to give Abrego Garcia his due process rights. They are trying to litigate on social media what they should be doing in the courts. They need to put up or shut up in the courts. Let me tell you, and I decided to write this down so I could be absolutely accurate as to what Federal District Court Judge Zinnes said about these allegations by the Trump administration. Quote, "No evidence linking Abrego Garcia to MS-13 or any terrorist activity has been presented to the court." That's where to litigate this. It's been litigated in many other places. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into the details because the whole purpose of our court system is for them to adjudicate these things, not for Donald Trump to go off on social media.
Yeah, you're right. They have not, there hasn't been a court hearing for them to put forward evidence in the first place, which is your whole point. But since you were the one person to have met with him, and since this is a thing, you say on social media, it's what we hear from Donald Trump and Republicans every day, all day long, you didn't ask him?
I didn't ask him that because I know what his answer is. What he told me was he was sad and traumatized that he was being in prison because he has committed no crimes. And that goes to the heart of this issue because he's being denied his due process rights. And Donald Trump is trying to change the subject. When people start asking that question, in my view, they're falling into the president's trap because what the president wants to do is talk about that as if we can't all fight gang violence, which I've been doing for much longer than Donald Trump, right? His argument is you can't fight that and at the same time uphold people's constitutional rights. That's a very dangerous view. And if we deny the constitutional rights of this one man, it threatens the constitutional rights of everybody in America.
The controversy revolves around the balance between due process and national security, with Van Hollen asserting that his focus was on constitutional rights rather than unverified claims. Meanwhile, the Trump administration insists that Abrego Garcia's tattoos and a 2019 confidential police report link him to the violent gang MS-13. His wife and attorney dispute those allegations, and crucially, no court has yet received or reviewed concrete evidence. Van Hollen framed the administration's approach as politically driven, accusing officials of defying a federal court order and using social media to litigate rather than presenting evidence in a legal forum. Citing Federal District Judge Zinnes, he noted, "No evidence linking Abrego Garcia to MS-13 or any terrorist activity has been presented to the court." Critics, however, argue that Van Hollen's refusal to address the gang-related accusations directly sidesteps a central issue. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt described the senator's trip as unbelievable, branding Abrego Garcia as a criminal MS-13 gang member, and condemning the use of taxpayer dollars to advocate on his behalf. Photos released by Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele, showing Van Hollen with Abrego Garcia over margaritas, further inflamed tensions. Van Hollen dismissed the images as a staged attempt to mislead the public, denying he consumed alcohol during the meeting. The optics, nonetheless, added fuel to allegations that the senator's actions may have violated diplomatic norms, with some referencing the Logan Act. The conflict highlights the sharp division in U.S. immigration policy. Conservative voices assert that Van Hollen's emphasis on due process, without adequately addressing public safety, reveals a misplaced priority. When people start asking that question, Van Hollen said of MS MS-13 affiliations, they're falling into the president's trap. Critics argue this stance fails to confront the tangible threat posed by MS-13. As Patty Morin, whose daughter was killed by an undocumented immigrant, stated in a separate interview, the public deserves transparency and a government focused on protecting American citizens. We need leaders who prioritize safety over political games, she remarked. The senator counters that safeguarding due process is not a political position but a constitutional obligation. When you trample on the constitutional rights of one man, you threaten the constitutional rights of every American, he said. Yet, for many, this approach appears to ignore the broader societal impact of gang violence and its real victims. This debate has reopened long-standing fissures over how America should balance justice with security. It forces a difficult question: should due process protections extend to individuals with serious, though unproven, allegations? Or should national security override individual rights when the risks seem high? Ultimately, the Abrego Garcia case may serve as a bellwether for U.S. immigration and security policy, revealing not only legal dilemmas but also moral and political fault lines. As the legal proceedings unfold, or fail to, public trust will hinge on how leaders address both the rights of the individual and the safety of the community.